So here's Biden now stumbling into a business to hear what they have to say about the PPE that they received from the Biden administration. Let's take a look. So here comes Biden. Again, he's kind of walking around aimlessly like, nope, Biden, over here, buddy. Nope, I don't know where you're going there, but over here. He's totally on his own. And again, it doesn't really look like he knows what's going on. He sees people up at the top. He's waving hi to them. And these two continue to talk for pretty much the whole time. They're talking about how they've received some PPE funds, thank you, and they're letting them know what they've done with it. But Biden just kind of stands there, and this is what we see from Biden all the time. And I've done lives like this before. I did a live a couple weeks ago where Biden was down in Texas. Same thing. He walks into the facility, and he's just kind of like looking around. He doesn't really know what's going on, and we see this from him time and time again. So here he is sitting around. Now, this is what's interesting to notice. At the end of the press briefing, I'm going to kind of forward a few minutes here of Joe just kind of standing there and looking around. Watch how quickly, and I'll turn it up here for you guys to see, watch how quickly the reporters rush Biden out of the room or rush the media out of the room. And it gets worse and worse every time. So take a look here. Let's listen. So it's over now. And he just starts walking out of the room.
We're going to move out. Let's go, press. You guys, let's go. Come on, press. Let's go. Come on, let's go. This is at the border, sir. Let's go, you guys. Come on. Come on, let's go.
Listen to how rude they are kicking the press out. Come on, press, let's go. Get out, get out. Time to go. And they do this every single time. And we see this after every single appearance that Joe Biden makes. The press is, or the his assistants, whoever they're setting the whole thing up, they're so quick to push the press out of the room. I mean, they want the media gone the second their big show is over. And that's all we're doing here. We're just putting on a big show. Everywhere that they place Biden or every event that they script for him, it's just a show to the American people to say, hey, look, we really do have a president here who can walk around and talk and do things that a president's supposed to do. You know, we can assure you that he's still here, but he's not really doing anything. I mean, he does nothing at these events. He just walks around aimlessly. And that's what we saw just now, right now. Another event where he walks around aimlessly. He doesn't really know what's going on. And the second it's over, they want him out of the room. Let's listen.
We're going to move out. Let's go, press. You guys, let's go. Come on, press. Let's go. Come on, let's go. This is at the border, sir. Let's go, you guys. Come on.
And you can tell that the media is growing increasingly frustrated. I mean, they have questions. What's going on at south of the border? What's going on with the stimulus package? What's going on with all these very important situations and crises that America faces today? And he is never allowed to sit there and answer questions. Every single time he appears before anybody as the puppet president that he is, he's just not allowed to ask questions. And it's getting very concerning for a lot of the American people. And it doesn't look good to our international counterparts who see that America doesn't even have a real strong leader right now. We're very vulnerable as a company or as a country because we don't have a president who's able to string a sentence together. Things are getting really bad. Let's go over to the keyboard warrior cam and see what the American people have to say about the insanity of Joe Biden not really being able to answer questions, or the fact that 48 days has passed since Joe Biden has become president and he still has not had a single press briefing. But before we do that, what other press briefings or what other types of conferences have former presidents had that Joe Biden still hasn't had? So other appearances, and again, what's also alarming is that CNN's very own Jake Tapper has even said Biden's 15 most recent predecessors have all held a former solo press conference within 33 days of taking office. 15 of Biden's predecessors have all held a formal solo press conference within 33 days of taking office. And this is CNN. When you see CNN calling out Joe Biden, you know we have a real problem here. Because, I mean, left-wing media backs their boy like no other. And they'll do anything to protect him, including throwing them softball questions like, hey, Joe, what time do you usually call tonight? What time do you crash out for bed every night? I mean, these are like the questions that the media tends to throw Joe Biden. So CNN is now highlighting the fact that 15 presidents before Joe Biden have all had some sort of formal solo press conference. Solo. Not without Psaki there for his defense, not without the assistants scripting all the questions beforehand and Joe Biden having very carefully crafted answers, but solo, freelance press conferences where you don't know what they're going to ask. We haven't had Biden hold a single one of these yet. Biden has also not even addressed a joint session of Congress either. Another early term priority in most administrations. Typically, presidents give their first speech before Congress in February. So he's way overdue on even addressing Congress. So we have no solo press conferences, we have no White House press briefings, and we have no joint session of Congress or him addressing the joint session of Congress. This is how ridiculous the situation is getting right now. And all that Psaki has to say for it is that we anticipate Biden's going to hold one by the end of the month, by the end of the March. And here's her excuse. I love this. This is how Psaki gets out of it, or tries to at least. We are in the middle of a global pandemic, she said. We intend on the president delivering a joint session, but we don't have a date for that yet. What do you mean we're in the middle of a pandemic, Jen? Like, we've been in the middle of a pandemic since last year, like a year ago. This is not the middle of the pandemic, okay? Cases continue to decline. No one really cares about the pandemic anymore, except for the deep blue states like my very own New York and a handful of liberals who still want a double mask. But other than that, no one cares about the pandemic, okay? The vaccine's out, thanks to President Trump and his warp speed operation. And we're kind of all getting back to business as usual. So nobody really is that concerned about the pandemic or as concerned as Biden or they claim Biden is. And that's not an excuse to not hold a press briefing. Okay, it's not like Biden is on the FedEx airplanes shipping vaccinations around the country himself. It's not like Biden was down in Texas trying to fix the power grid during the Texas cold snap that they experienced a few weeks ago. Okay, Biden's the president of the United States. He has people to do that for him so he can address the American public. That's what the president does. He deals with us, the people, and our questions. And he has everybody else, his 5 million assistants or heads of departments or committee members and leaders handle the tedious, mundane situations on a daily basis for him. So he can, in fact, address the American people.